Okay, welcome to the Planning and Environment Committee meeting on the 10th of February 2025. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillors Messenger and Mortimer.
Item 2, to note declarations of members' interest of the agenda as it's sent out. And we get applications.
No.
Okay, thank you. Will we confirm the minutes of the planning meeting that was held on the 13th of January?
Yeah,
So-
I'll confirm the minutes.
Is that okay? Right.
I'll have to second. Is it possible to have any matters arising when we
No.
We don't do masterising, but you're welcome to inform members of what your thoughts are at the end of the meeting. Meeting's closed. So,
Parish pump, isn't it? The government parish pump.
This was signed.
that seems like a...
Right, so we can't. Okay.
Sorry.
Assuming if there was something that was, you could have said when they were sent out before we get to this stage.
That's right, the agenda item.
Okay then. Item 4, public participation.
None.
Have we had any written correspondence? Got that?
Sorry, Chair. I should have declared, as a borough councillor, I think I should declare an interest as this particular application is from Cheshire East to make alterations
Right, to Delamere House.
to Delamere House, yeah, which will be used by members for meetings and as well as for council staff.
Okay.
Added. Yep.
So that brings us on to item 5, to consider making a response to that planning application. And the first one is in fact 2050-21, which is Delamere House, formation of rear staff entrance, etc, etc.
Do you want me to bring it up? It's fairly straightforward amendments to a standard building, but there's quite a lot of details on it if you want to have a look at it. I didn't have any observations on it. It was not controversial. So they can move themselves back into Crewe and wholesale, which is a good large-scale presence of the council in the town. And the amendments are to make additional meeting space or a chamber and internal arrangements for safeguarding and social care aspects, and also changes to the entrance and exits, and I believe some air conditioning, things like that. So I didn't identify anything concerning me. You're welcome to go through the plans, but it's quite detailed.
Does anybody wish to make any? I should think I'm not going to easily.
Has it been confirmed that this is whether or not this item will be going to committee for decision, or is it going to be a delegated decision?
Delegation. At the minute, it's not listed to a committee just yet.
I think it's interesting because normally speaking, I thought if council applied to itself for planning permission that it needed to go to committee for decision, unless I suppose there's probably some rider that says unless it is of such a minor nature or something like that. It does surprise me though that it is delegated. Doesn't sound very open and transparent, does it?
I'm
just talking about some fire doors or something.
It's all ground floor work as well, isn't it? It's nothing high up or anything.
I understand your point about them making decisions on their own applications. There's no regulation I'm aware of to stop that, but I do understand that it would be. It's something one could imagine is reasonable for it to be a different level of scrutiny for their own applications.
Normally it would be. So I'm surprised this one's delegated. But anyway, I'll just make that point. Presumably it's considered to be of such a minor nature that it doesn't need to go to committee. Presumably there is something in the council's own constitution that says so as well. One has to assume.
Something says so, or by its omission, it's allowed. I don't know. Yes, I don't think there's anything dodgy going on.
So, if we have no issue with the work, what's been doing, which and with all the rationale behind that. Could and I'm thinking aloud now. Could we not just say a question was asked, reference to? Would it be in an application from?
Yeah.
And leave that open.
Yes, that's what
And
I want
it's
to know.
recorded, and
Yeah.
then just we'll move on.
Okay.
Okay.
A query was raised.
Yeah, will be done.
Yeah. Is that all right, Steve?
Yes, that's thank you.
Is that okay, College? We go on. Thank you. Okay, next one then. 24 51 38 Carpet Right, 7 Grand Junction. It's an advert to change from Carpet Right to Superdrug.
Again, no concerns.
no.
It's effectively a sign in the same location, just saying something different.
Didn't know you could buy drugs at Carpet Right, so helps, doesn't it?
So we move
Diversification.
So is, no comment.
Okay.
250079. A certificate of lawful use development existing, which is a certificate of existing lawful use for continued the use of the property as a 4-person use Class C4 small house in multiple occupation. This is a house in Gainsborough Road, which one assumes has been a rented accommodation for a number of years, and I think prior to Article 4. Because on here they put a series to prove that before Article 4 it was a small HMO, and I think there must be either a new owner or they're reapplying and to prove that they don't need to do that, and I don't know where we go from that, but that's what it is. And there's just a series of
Tenancies.
contracts, I would think, between a tenant and the owner of what they're paying and where they've lived. So I don't know where we get what steer we need on this one, because don't normally allow any more HMOs, do they, because it's an Article 4.
I have some
Is that
comments. I agree with you entirely. I have some
So
comments
just,
if it will help.
Yes?
Don't be shy.
I'm glad.
Yeah, go on then.
The property is within the area of an Article 4 directive that specifically restricts the provision of HMOs in that location. The statement to demonstrate continuous use does not substantially or significantly predate the implementation of the Article 4 directive. The provision of Article 4 directive was in process prior to the earlier stated submitted evidence for continuous use. The provision of HMOs in this area has been identified as detrimental to community sustainability and the immunity of residents, as demonstrated by the associated Article 4 directive. Application for regularisation of a planning circumstance that does not have the relevant planning consent is subject to retrospective consideration, and as such does not meet the local planning policy and is in direct opposition to the Article 4 directive associated.
Come on. Marlon, it's
Um,
your area.
I'm the ward councillor, and I will be putting in an objection. I'm aware of the property. I've been made aware of the property a number of times over the last few years. It's very much a residential family street. The houses are family homes, local schools. It's a school where children walk to school. There should be a community atmosphere there, and people try to take pride in their family homes. And this particular property is out of, doesn't fit into that category, shall I put it that way?
Okay.
So, seeing as that's one of the reasons it's within the area that it was decided to take action against HMOs, then I think that we should implement that, ask for that policy to be implemented.
Anybody else? Okay then.
Just wondered, of course it's too early to have any idea what the officer view might be. Presumably this
I
one's
do.
delegated as well, is it?
Yep, I believe so. Let's double check. Delegated, yeah.
Yeah. Can we just see the map there to see
Just
whereabouts?
It's right in the middle of the road,
Yeah,
isn't it? Between
Yes.
Oh,
the,
yeah, I
So-
can see Clifton Street.
yeah, it's surrounded by what are essentially family homes.
Yeah, and that's, oh, I can see where it is, yes.
You know, they're generally, they're terraced, but they're generally reasonable sized three-bedroom
Ah,
properties
right.
that, you know, we would normally have
Yeah, just a
parents and
family,
children in.
Loads of extra bins and things.
I mean, I suppose a few of them will be rented, but rented family homes, aren't they, generally?
Yes, yes, a lot of them.
Quite a lot
are,
of,
it's the sort of thing where you, with a house of multiple occupation, there tends to be levels of noise, possibly late into the evening, things like that. Noise outdoors in the back at night, and you know it that doesn't fit in with how the street traditionally has been.
Right, have you captured that then?
Are
You
members,
might want to put it into better language.
well, I shall try. Are members
Yeah.
mind to object to this proposal?
Is that what you're saying?
I would propose that.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Yes, that's it, generally.
Are you comfortable with the words I read out to you prior to, and will that obviously include Marilyn's aspect of it? It's a family location, provision of this specific type of HMO is out of character with the setting and community, and therefore the Article 4 directive should be implemented. There is a risk of loss of amenity to residents due to antisocial behaviour based on noise that can occur internally and externally late into the evening. Is that okay?
Yes.
Cover that.
Yeah.
Steve?
I mean, I think I think it will be consistent as well, because there's an item a separate item on this agenda later on, which refers to the issue of granting of a lawful development or lawful certificate, where there's been a different, well, shall we say, there's been a difference of opinion, and presumably the case officer once again will look at any case law or precedent and so forth. To us, I mean, if there's been a case before this within the section 46 area, then that will give some clue as to how this is likely to be decided anyway, or the officer come to that. Just that observation. I'm happy to support the recommendation.
So I'm submitting an objection on that ground, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay, next one then. 244968, full planning application for the remodelling, extension and part change of use of Breeding House and Regency Court to accommodate new residential development with associated access, private and communal amenity space, refuge and cycle storage. Right, there we go.
Passageway is what we call it.
Yeah, I know they've got solar panels on the roof that track the sun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remembered that much from the briefing. That's them little round discs on the
We've got
top
to-
there.
So this,
It's going to be architecturally it stands out
It's quite a statement
possibly in a
building.
good way, isn't
Quite a
it?
statement building, isn't it?
Yeah.
for context, this area I'm circling now is to be the youth zone. So
Yeah.
we're looking at it approaching South Middleston Road. You just make out it's going to have the same sort of skyline height as Christchurch Tower. And then looking at it from effectively Tesco, presumably, you'll be looking that way. And from, well, farm food sort of direction. Maybe this is more from Brunel, that's from Oak Street roundabout, but that's the elevations you'll see. Of course, there'll be a youth zone in this area. More detailed elevations. South elevation, which is the one approaching from Edelston Road into town, and the west is approaching.
So that's looking from across the road at Breeden House. Breeden House, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's green, that's,
So that's the
That's-
shops,
that's
as
the
is
shops,
the
yeah.
shops now.
yeah,
And then
that's High Street there.
So across the road is the Duke of Bridgewater.
That's it.
Well, basically, we're looking through the window here.
Yeah.
Got Pines End. Yeah. Edliston Road, the bridge.
So we're looking from Market Street.
Yeah, towards Edliston. And then that sort of oblong there is what would be the corner, which is the supermarket now, because they're not knocking that down, are they?
No, they're not. They're building over.
But they're knocking the Regency Court down, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think the transport issues, they are providing 24 spaces, but it is a short walk to the bus station and a slightly further walk to a railway station. It's on a bus route, isn't it? Yes. Into town, regular bus service during the day. These bus services are never only public transport in the area is not very good to get into work and that, but if you worked locally,
That's great visions of people working and using the railway station and using a bike to go from there to the new southern gateway
yes,
to the station.
yeah,
They were anticipating, I mean, this is not, we won't comment on this, but they said they were looking at more professionals living in those
yes.
to get off to the railway station and so on.
Really nice.
And
We-
that's their words, I'm not.
Yeah. So are the actual, is the accommodation, is it of the correct size for the use it's supposed to be?
So that was a query, what about the sizes, Pete?
The
Because
sizes meet the just above the technical minimum housing standards. There is a mix, so the policy is to try and provide a mix of accommodations. There are some single person studio apartments, flats, 1 bed 2 person flats, and there's 2 bed 3 person flats. So there's a mix of flat sizes in the block. You've seen the scaling of it, which is obviously quite large. There's no getting around that aspect. You pointed out that the parking is taking into consideration its central location. They would suggest it is a sustainable location and therefore fewer people will have cars. I will challenge that if you walk down High Street during the day at the minute. Which is currently you can't walk down either pavement because there's bins on them and then cars on them as well. It does provide for some. Now, when we were briefed on this, I understood from the developer they were going to instigate some form of shared car ownership scheme. If you remember, there was an app they were going to introduce, and there'd be a few shareable cars in there. But I don't know if that. I haven't had an opportunity to check if that's part of the plan application. You've read out the transport plan. I don't remember it being part of that. There is sustainability in terms of green aspects on the roof and sustainable energy production, which is something we often ask for. There is bike storage and waste storage. It's supposed to be serviced in some way. How members feel about it.
so, could I just say, the reason they're going to keep the shop at the bottom in Breeden House, they'll knock Regency Court down and then build that as all as flats. Is this correct? The way that they said they do it is they put supports up so then they can bring them prefab in so that they haven't got scaffolding and just off-site built, come in, erect. They said they own all of that land and that property, so they will be their resources will be financially will be the rental for the flats plus the shops, won't they?
Yeah.
Now you've just intimated, Pete, that there is issues now with industrial size bins,
Yeah.
3 or 4 in High Street parked on the. So I would expect that all of that, because there's 4 industrial bins that are permanently moored there,
Yeah,
and there were several bins further down, more or less here,
yeah,
that they would need to be included somewhere at the rear of that property off the pavement.
yeah.
Because it is, you know, it's not just them saying, well, there's X spaces inside.
Yeah.
We should be looking to say, no, you need to make sure it's all behind
All
and
behind,
there's
yeah,
access.
yeah.
Because
Maybe
Marilyn's
close.
touched on this access road. That's also an access road for the refuge truck to go and empty the bins.
Yeah,
Because as Marilyn said, the youth zone will be behind there.
that's right.
Only so
many
that it's
bins.
got to be, now they're saying you can get in and out of would it still be accessible from what was Cross Street? Because you couldn't have them reversing out, could you?
No. Let's have a quick look.
It's
Sorry,
just
I
to
don't
me.
know.
Because we've got a dance studio as well as, haven't we?
Yeah.
In that further on from their
Yes.
property, and then there's flats being built, or they've been passed, haven't they?
They have, yeah. Just further.
Flats been passed.
Just
There's
there.
a dance studio,
Flats.
and then obviously this. So it's just really, you know, trying to capture that all of the refuge should be off the pavements, so the improvement of High Street, full stop.
Yeah, all waste collection units should, associated with Breeding House as it stands now should be off the public highway. Is the note I've taken, is that correct? Is that what you're trying to
Yes, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So, Lena's intimated that she sublet to a comment about parking, but as we know from past experience in not too far from there in Ellison Road, when they passed those 10 flats or whatever it was, there was only 4 car parking spaces. We objected.
Yeah.
They somehow seem to be able to change and shape shift when it's crew, don't they, to see. So they will use the fact this is on a bus route, this is near the bus station. There are plenty of car parks,
They seem to be
So-
able to ignore all the cars parked in the way, yeah.
which is very frustrating for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
But however, if we just look at that building, what do we think?
Well, we had enough trouble with the, sorry,
No,
we had enough trouble with Eddleston Road School, if you remember when that came about. The amount of flats they had when it first started, there was nowhere near enough car parking spaces. There was nowhere for, they had a bit for bikes, and we kept rejecting it because of the car parking spaces. And to me, this is no different. There's still not enough car parking spaces for the amount of flats.
But they passed it, didn't they, Addison Road? There's still not enough car parking spaces. Because they park on the road, they park all over the streets.
Yeah, but
I mean, I think we should make comment about that. I'm not disputing
No.
that. But I just think, generally speaking, that does have what we've said many times. Does it have that, what we're after, something which is wow, something different, that would that then continue to attract people to invest?
Excuse me. I have no objections to the design of the building, to be perfectly honest with you. But
I think if that's a success, those developers might go on
Who
to,
knows?
to make more
Yeah.
modern developments in here.
Steve? Sorry. Steve?
Yeah. On the other hand, excuse me, I mean, this is going to go to the Southern Planning Committee, so they'll make the decision in a few weeks' time. The thing that strikes me straight away, I mean, is it's got that wow factor and it's something different and everything else. To me, it's the scale of the thing. To be quite honest with you, I mean, it's what, 7 or 8 floors? 7 floors, is it?
7.
7 floors, which means it's probably taller than Delamere House. No, it's not.
No, is it? Because you've got the tower there, you've got...
Yeah, so it's a very. I think that observation has to be made that it will. That this is of a scale that would dominate the landscape. There's no doubt about it. You can't get away from that. There's some very interesting features in it, definitely. You know, which might point way forward for how we get, you know, how you provide affordable dwellings. But yeah, there's really has to be a concern about bins, you know, refuse disposal, parking, they're obvious ones. So I mean, scale and massing. As to the design, that's something that I've no doubt at all is an interesting design. That will certainly get, I'm sure, discussed at the Southern Planning Committee. And there's bound to be some observations, I would have thought, about how it fits in with the Cheshire East Council's design guides. No, I've no idea how it fits in with those, but I think those, I would suggest that things like scale and the massing, the mass of it, and the design requires close examination. I think that's what that committee needs to do, don't they? In the end. Well, that's my opinion anyway.
That's not for our worry, is it? It's what do we feel like? I mean,
Yeah, well, it's like, well,
I mean, there's nothing round it, is there? Let's be honest, we're looking at a blank canvas, aren't we?
Yeah.
There's nothing round it. There's got to be a use zone behind it, which is not, I mean, in my opinion, isn't particularly attractive, but it's been passed and it'll be built. We're going to put something that's modern, different, isn't it? A feature that you'll do it. It's not going to overshadow, and there's very little around there. So I just think that's in scale proportionally, because they've dropped it. It's higher where Ellison Road, you look there, but then they drop it further down, and I just think they're trying to get it. I mean, it's a bit like an ocean going liner, isn't it? Let's be honest about it.
It's striking.
But, you know, do we want people to live in the town?
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at some point, somebody's have to say, let's be ambitious and let's go for it.
Yeah.
Instead of putting obstacles always in the way. Oh no, it's too near this Dolphin Church. It was built in that. It's something different. And unless we get something different, we're going to continually say, well, if only. I feel quite passionate. I think that is something that I would never expect, to be honest. Never expect it. But it's something that I
Yeah.
see regularly.
Yes.
When I go to Manchester and you see them there, you think,
Yeah, you do.
they got that.
Some
You go to
sort of-
London, you've got all these houses that are Georgian, and next to it you've got a blooming
Yeah.
thing about
Yeah, the
36 flowers
the
on it.
mixture's
It's because they
good,
mix
isn't
it, they want it.
Yeah, the heritage and the modern.
I mean,
You know, there's nothing round, is there?
it's not as tall.
Anyway, I've spoke from the heart there, and this is probably what I shouldn't do at a planning meeting, but I do think it's something somebody wants to invest. They're clearly saying it's a longer term job if they start it, to get their money back. It's all in the brief, right?
How many floors is the flats at the top of Mill Street? How many floors is that?
Waverley Court,
Yeah.
A lot. It's about
a
12.
lot higher than that.
Yeah,
Quite,
that's
it's
right.
that's quite tall.
I mean, this is the point. I mean, it's
And that's stuck on top of the hill. isn't it?
That's got the church there, and they made certain that that's just below that. And just like they did at the Royal,
It's just-
when they built that,
yeah.
want to do that car park, it's
Yeah.
just lower than that.
I mean, I think to finish what I was going to say, it struck me. I mean, it would be very striking. There's no question about it. And I'm just making those points because they will be made. There will be observations in the consultation anyway. And it certainly strikes me. It doesn't look like an ocean-going liner, and there have been observations elsewhere to that effect. On the other hand, again, I mean, you know, you look at, I think about Presty Road, or you know, the rail house, or Waverley Court. You know, those areas were, you know, you think of the slums that used to exist along Mill Street, which were demolished 70 or 60 years ago, and then subsequently, suddenly, this rising from the ashes, literally, there was Waverley Court. Which you can see for miles around. It's probably the tallest building, one of the tallest buildings in the town, isn't it? About 12 stories, about the same as Rail House. That must have been, I would say, must have been a shock to the system of people nearly 60 years ago, 55, 60 years ago. So, I think this will certainly, if if it's approved or something like this is approved, it will certainly be a shock to the system. There's no doubt getting away from it because it will be, it will be a pleasant shock. It's certainly very different to what is there. And as I say, it's about the same height as Delamere House and Wellington House, which are not so far away. I have reservations about it. I can see how exciting it can be, and I can see that there'll be, the prospects of future development are very exciting too. I've got mixed feelings about it, to be honest. But that's all. But that's just an opinion.
I like it, but the only problem I've got with it is how can they guarantee that there's not going to be more than 24 cars?
Well, because they're going to have a marketing policy that will market it as a car-free residence.
Are they?
Yeah, not saying you can't apply to buy one of these or rent one of these if you've got a car, but it will be part of the marketing that there is only 24 spaces. And they said that they're going to have a policy of allocating the same spaces based on mobility issues, etc. Now, whether that will work out, but they have got a range of schemes, including a nationally recognised scheme which is called Car Club, where you join a car club and you can hire a car for a day here and there, and it's already operating in Crewe, and they're going to go into an arrangement with a car club enterprise to encourage people to join that.
Which you've been
Yeah.
touched on. Okay, so where do we go from here then?
I think if I'm missing anything, please clarify to me, but it seems that the committee, rather than anything else, might have observations that the design ambition is welcome in this town centre gateway location. There are concerns related to the parking, but the committee understands that the developer seeks to mitigate this. The massing scale may create a dominating impact and require some consideration, and there must be actions taken such that existing waste storage found in the public realm associated with Breeden House should be addressed to ensure it is no longer stored on the highway. There was no sort of taking through the conversations here. I missed anything, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, sums it up.
So we
Can I
Yes,
just say,
thought of that.
when you read the first bit, the first sentence about welcoming, could you just read that out again?
Yeah, I'm
please?
happy to amend it. So this is my summary of what I've heard, and
No,
I apologise if I got it wrong. The design ambition is welcomed in this town centre gateway location.
Right, so do we want to also add, and the opportunity, whatever, about the residential, people living in the town centre, offering an opportunity for the expansion of residential accommodation in the town centre? It is the town centre, really.
Maybe if I change that then to the design.
Yeah.
Sorry, the design ambition is welcomed for residential development in this town centre gateway location.
Yes, but I think your point before I added that is good. That what you said, we agreed with that. That it was.
I'm happy to write whatever
The
you
thing
want.
about the design and innovation was that it was a point in itself, I think, from our architectural interest point of view.
Yeah.
But to add something
captured
about
that.
welcoming more residential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, certainly we're
Nighttime
talking-
economy, contribute to the nighttime economy.
Right.
Are you happy
Are
for
we
that to
happy
be
with that?
observations?
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, then yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay then. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get
And I
spoke
want
about
to-
elsewhere.
I'd be interested to know if they do actually have little trees and shrubs on the balconies.
They did say that was why they were doing that, yeah. Okay then, anyway, well, back to the more mundane. 21 Victoria Street, 0003, and they want to just change the shop front, existing flat shop front, and fit with new glazed angle shop.
Yeah, it's
It's,
a slight angling of the front door. There's still going to be a pull-down shutter at night when it's shut, and a slight change around inside, but no no significant change. I can bring it up, it's a pretty nominal change.
You won't want to
No.
basically pawn shop, isn't it? Yeah, all right then.
Yeah.
No comment there. Next one then, 245176, Croswell Social and Working Men's Club, Crosby, demolition of building and use of site as a temporary car park.
I think we should wholeheartedly object to this on the grounds that he's getting rid of a beautiful club. But then again, I'm talking tongue in cheek. What a waste.
The recently demolished electricity street, the old electricity board warehouse building, and it said they didn't need permission to do that, and it's now erased to the ground. We objected, we had no comment at our last meeting, but they didn't need prior approval, and it's now gone. I suggest that these are asking because they want a temporary car park, because it's privately owned. It's very frustrating because we've all been to Croswell, we like the Crosby and all the rest of it, but it's privately owned, they run it, and now they're saying, well, it's
They're seeking to
very
demolish.
disappointing. But
I must be. Sorry.
yeah, go on.
I am surprised that they're going to build a car park, even if it's a temporary one, when we've got a multi-storey that's not being used over the road from it.
Well, if I may answer that, it's a private company that already has a car park on there, and if you look at their car park, it's quite full because it's cheaper than the other car parks. So I suggest that as business people, they're thinking, how can I get a few bob here? Marilyn first.
The Croswell Club closed down. Attempts were made to save it. It's very dear to a lot of our hearts from our misspent youth, etc.
Yes, definitely.
But it was accepted. I think you have to accept that the building itself is not viable. And previously there was a planning application put in to replace it. It would have been demolished for the flats, for the accommodation to be built onto it. So I think it's already been accepted that the actual building can't continue. And it's so Cheshire East Council has currently got a space in the middle of the town which is a temporary space that is waiting for the economy to pick up and future development to continue. So you could say that spaces about demolishing buildings and making way for new development in the future is a good thing for Crewe. Some may say that. Therefore, if you're going to demolish it, what you're going to do with it in the meantime while you're waiting for further development suggestion to come forward. As you say, it's already used as a car park. It's quite a lot of car park spaces on there already. So.
Well, I think there's a key difference really between this and the Electricity Street site, and it's this, that the Manweb depot was a prior approval application, but it was purely for demolition without any actual future use talked about. We made our observations, and it would be nice to know whether they were taken into account. I was hopeful myself that maybe some of aspects of the site might be saved, but whether that's the case, I don't know. We made our observations, and I don't know actually whether, in fact, anyone from the town council was actually able to visit the site, which is what we wanted to see. But anyway, that's that. But that was purely a prior approval for demolition, and presumably then it would be, well, you know, in general, you don't need planning permission anyway to demolish something that's that's derelict or out of use. In this case, it's got, I mean, its past use was as a social club, so whatever use class that is. And this is applying for two things. I think that's the key difference. You know, it's applying for to demolish the building, which is more or less a foregone conclusion, I would say, and then it's about the use of the site on a temporary basis, waiting for whatever future development there is. And as the chairman said, it's perfectly obvious. You know, the previous application was withdrawn last September for whatever reasons, and they're looking to earn some money from the site. They've now got a derelict building which has been seriously vandalised, and with surroundings nearby which are not altogether salubrious either, as we know. So they had to make some money out of it in the meantime, waiting for some future development, and that's the difference. Yes, in the case of the Man website, there was talk about, well, that such and such a thing might happen. You know, there might be a care home there, but there was no planning application that came with it. So it was just really demolish the building. Yeah, and that's probably have to be very limited reasons to turn that away, like contamination of land or highway danger or something of the sort. So to me, it served its purpose. It's really quite sad, and the sooner I think it needs to be demolished and then the site cleared, so then it's available for future use. It makes, people say, it makes no sense to have another car park. Well, it makes sense from the point of view of the applicant, plainly, to earn something rather than nothing. That's entirely up to them, and their charging policy is entirely up to them as well. So I would say the sooner that Cheshire East is able, this is just an opinion now, the sooner that Cheshire East is able to make alternative use of things like Delamere Street car park or Chester Square car park, for example, bring them into some alternative use, the sooner that happens, the better. Because those things, along with Oak Street and Christchurch and the library site, they're the reason there's a multi-storey car park. So I think it's, I don't know if I would say anything, I would, well, they're just observations. You know, I think I can go ahead anyway.
So the observations then being that there's not much we can say other than it's a shame. I mean, that is not, I'm being flippant, I'm sorry.
John, Kevin wants to.
Kevin, sorry.
The only thing that I've got to say is about the use of the word temporary. How long is temporary? I mean, it could be there for 10, 15, 20 years for all we know.
Prefabs were temporary, weren't
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any words, Pete, anything up?
Yeah, please don't take this the wrong way, members. It seems to me there are no comments to submit. It seems resigned to the fact that the site is going to be demolished. It is a destitute site now of significant dereliction and also antisocial behaviour hotspot. There is no economic viable alternative being presented, and to take it away and provide car parking capacity for commercial benefit is not currently challenged in this room, as far as I understand.
I mean, I don't see what I mean, I would, my own view, and I don't know whether it's one we would do it anyway, we'd welcome a solution to the current problems that are associated with what is now a derelict building. The demolition was brought about by the owners of the site, who obviously want to sell it with the benefit of planning permission, in my opinion, and that hasn't worked out. And now we've got there's an eyesore and a misbehaviour hub, and I'd welcome the fact it's being demolished, and then I'll get.
Right, okay, well, let's say that then, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
To resolve.
Melanie, can you come
problems.
up with anything that
Well,
doesn't seem quite as
in
severe?
terms of demand for parking, there's going to be a new 12-storey building with 100 new apartments where people with cars will need to find somewhere else to park their car. And they who wish to approach this private provider and get a reduced season permit.
Okay.
6 spaces.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm not going to ask for any more contributions. I think we'll sum up as you said, Pete.
Well, my
Which is
summation is no
basically-
comments, or
It's
or I can
I
welcome
think it'd be
it.
better to no
I
comment
think
on it.
better no comment.
Yeah, I think no comment will be best.
Yeah.
But with a heavy heart.
All right.
I was there the night it was raided for underage drinking.
Oh,
So was I.
They never had before, did they?
You got
Thursday night, get away. Anyway, let's get. Oh dear. All right, Bridging. Well, let's go there now. So that's on to 6 now. To responses to urgent plan applications. Now we're in the Bridging, 167 Broad Street. Outline application proposed 4 new flats to the rear of 167 Broad Street.
Well, I've had a look at this. There appears to be parking, waste storage,
Subject.
and flats of an appropriate scale, as far as I can make out, and it's accessible. So let me give you a quick go of these. Ground floor plan.
So that's the beer garden going for a Burton.
Is that what it's got on?
Is that
There's flats there
It's
anyway.
Burton's Brewery, isn't it?
It's the site of an old railway station, isn't it?
This can't be right, can it, Craig? We've got enough car parking spaces and it's larger
Not
than it
enough
needs to be. What's going wrong? I support this one. There's the bridge.
Right, here we go. So it's this aspect to the side to develop into what I've done it. What I've done it. Develop into 2-bedroom flat, kitchen diner at the front, or at the top if you like the drawing, almost identical arrangement at the back, and that's duplicated
First floor.
on the first floor. Yeah. Exactly the same there. So there are 4 flats with parking to the rear of the existing pub, and they're of scale. They're accessible. They're in a suitable location. I don't have any observations other than that, I'm afraid.
How far behind the pub is it, Pete?
How far where, sorry?
How far behind the pub? It says behind the pub, doesn't it? To the
This-
rear.
That bit
To the
there.
rear it says, yeah.
So there's the bridge,
Yeah.
there's the car park, it's this bit here.
So it's practically a...
Adjacent
Attached.
to number 1. It is attached to pub
Oh, right.
there. So access here, access there, and access of the car park. That's what it's. It could be stated that there's limited external amenity space. If you want to find something wrong with it.
They've got the best amenity you could ever have.
Well,
Attached to a pub. I think I'll buy one of them.
Until it becomes a HMO. Okay, what did you want to make a comment on the fact that it's on this?
Just
Was
looking
it
at what local
supportive from
residents
both?
have said. 22 Lime Street. Issues of concern.
I take it's the same height as the existing pub, isn't it? It's not.
Because it'll run by Lime Street, won't it?
Yeah, it says Lime Street is a private and unadopted street without a tarmac surface and maintained at residents' expense. The proposed flats face out onto our street. Well, it says the application, the address is given as Broad Street, but any future road can condition issues would be in relation to Lime Street. It says it's a private and unadopted street. Does that mean
Yeah, it
parts
is.
of it are private and parts of it are unadopted?
No, I think it's not finished surface, is it, Lime Street?
No.
No, it's not tarmac, is it?
Doesn't
This
show
is
any designated parking
Basically,
spaces.
railways.
This person is saying.
Railway.
And the development would decrease the number of parking spaces in the pub car park.
Well, there's something there that says something about a street light. So I like about it. Does not show any designated parking spaces for flat residents and their visitors.
But the pub's got the car.
Well, it does.
So,
Oh, is it
I
the
suppose
car
you
park?
could argue that's technically right, because in the end, it doesn't say these are specifically for,
It's on the
yeah,
pub car park.
it's on the pub car park, yeah, so access is off there. We are probably, it's incorrect to presume, but we are presuming there'll be parking on the car park and accessing that way. It could be a comment to clarify that designated parking within the curtilage of the Bridge Inn should be demonstrated.
Yeah.
Right, how do we do it? There are no objections to the flats, size-wise or...
No, they look fine.
I mean, where it says one there, Marilyn, because you can be better than me, is that one Lime Street?
Yes, it's got to be, yeah.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
It is, yeah.
That's one Lime, so does that suggest then that to where the flats in relation, where they show those windows and all that?
Which is, there's Lime Street there. So that is one Lime Street right next to it. And the flats, they're putting them there.
So we're building against their party wall then?
No, well,
There's
it's
a
not
gap.
a party wall, they're building,
There's a gap.
yeah, there's a gap.
Is that right?
So there's a gated access off Lime Street
I
there,
see.
and they're coming in the side of the building here. And there's a gated access off the car park as well, here,
Right.
and they're getting an entrance there. So they're not building up to the boundary. It's,
And then they've got windows into Lime Street.
let's get the elevations up. So that's the building there. That's to the north, I think. And that's the side looking across to Lime Street. That's looking onto Lime Street.
Just reading more of what residents on Lime Street have said, they've been looking at their deeds and I think the thing is, would we not want to make sure to express concern that the residents of Lime Street have got raised objections and these should be taken into consideration or these should be investigated? Because it's mainly about access, saying that this application is requesting access onto Lime Street, and there seems to be an issue over whether that is appropriate or permissible. That's being raised by the residents, so that their concerns should be taken into account, or should be taken account of or investigated.
From the looks of it, there's not going to, the people that live in these flats, their cars aren't going to be using Lime Street because there's only a gate, there's no car parking on that Lime Street, it's all going to be in the pub car park.
We are presuming, I have made a note that members might want to clarify there's designated parking for, within the curtilage of the bridging for the proposed development. And also now noted that the concerns raised by residents of Lime Street in terms of objections should be investigated and considered prior to deciding this application.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Marlon. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, next one then. 250183. The existing rear storage space will be rebuilt and renovated to accommodate 2 bedrooms, each with an ensuite bathroom. 136 Richmond Road. Now don't get confused of the application we had at the last meeting, or the last but one meeting maybe, of 136 Richmond Road, where they applied to change a family 3-bedroomed house to a 6-bedroom HMO. Since we last met, it's been passed, and they're now working on that, as it says there. So they've actually passed already in this property a 6-bedroom HMO. They now want to utilise what I'll use the shed area, rear storage space. They want to rebuild it and put 2 more bedrooms and ensuite. So the house now will have 8 en-suites, a single bed property in the 3-bed, what was traditionally a 3-bedroomed house. So we can't discuss the 6-bedroom because it's already been passed. However, it would mean on that site 8 bedrooms, and therefore you may well say, have comment to make on that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that comment. Overdevelopment of a site. And all the things
They
that go
passed it
with
with no problem.
Yeah. It's not a home or anything, it's not a residential home, it's just
No,
nothing, no.
just 6
Okay,
in
just
HMO
for tenants, yeah.
with no parking
Oh.
because it's on the side. They just
I see.
they just picked. If you look at the picture, they've actually put 3 cars on the side street.
Yeah,
To say, well,
oh, I see.
there is because there is no yellow line, so
Yeah.
the tenant further.
And it's saying, it's only to accommodate 2 bedrooms, each with an ensuite bathroom. Makes me think this has been turned into an Airbnb.
Well, whatever, you know,
Whatever.
we
I
know.
mean, it would make sense. I mean, you're not going to get a flat with have an apartment that's just got a bedroom, are you? Necessarily.
I think it might be useful to see the elevations, the existing elevations as well.
I mean, they put one in what was when it was a 3-bedroom house called an attic space, and that was only for storage. Now it's a 2nd floor with
Yeah. So this is the storage they're talking about. It's a garage
yeah.
at the back. So they're removing the vehicle access and vehicle parking to create these 2 1-bed bedrooms with en-suites, you say. So I can't work out. Accessible off the front through a shared kitchen and living area, and access separately that way. They do meet the technical minimum housing standards. Checked. Nothing we can say about that. It reduces parking, obviously, so there's 2 more potential accommodations, more on-street parking. It's in a traditional residential area, which doesn't, represent an 8-bedroom HMO very helpfully. The waste storage here, it seems inadequate for 8 independent living units. And I think the phrase has already been said, this is clear overdevelopment of the site. But I can see no added value to the proposals in this development at all, and I think having a detrimental impact on the amenity of residents.
You see, when I look at these things now, and I'm going to just get up because what I observe when they tell me that they meet the minimum standards, and they always do. But when you look, and this is, recently somebody described the Vincent Street one as nothing other than a monk's cell. They were small. If you look at that, you've got a bed. It is a bedroom there. You've got a desk with what assumes a television maybe, or I don't know, a computer, and then what would look like a chair. You've got a wardrobe indicated, I can't see what to do, the wardrobe, there's your ensuite. Then you've got your wardrobe here, with like what they would be the hangers for your clothes. You've got your bed. So you think, well, I'll go back to my bed and I'll chill out, you know what I mean? It's small, it's you know, it's not what you would say, well, I think I'll have a couple, you know, a small sofa here and relax out the way of the rest of your house. Because when you look at that then there, that's where you're going to have your breakfast, dinner or tea or whatever you're going to do, just about 8 seats. And then what was in when it was a house, that was a utility room. Got your washing machines, now they made that a living area. Very small, but indicate 8 people, potentially 8 people. I just look and thinking, what are we actually doing? It's in nowhere that says people deserve larger areas. We know what it's about, but wouldn't it be nice if one of these, because you think about it, you haven't got to have too many of them in the street where you've got 1 bathroom and 1 toilet at one time, you've now got 8. The pressure on your utilities, the pressure on your water, and it's no wonder that things stop and we'll continue getting electricity stoppages and outages as they call it these days, because this is the sort of thing with the Victorian sub, you know, with the infrastructure. And you cannot continue to do it. And nobody wants to bite the bullet. This is what annoys me. They don't want to say, look, enough is enough, because I haven't got Article 4 there. That is the problem. Until they get it across Crewe, the sooner the better. Because the way it's going on, that is the typical way. That's a good 3-bedroom large house. And I'm sorry to say that, labour at the point, but you think if you live there, you know, in that cell, and you've got that, I don't really think we do justice to our residents. I don't. I really don't.
And I think
So
I agree with what you're saying, John, except for one thing. How do we know it's going to be 8 single people?
because
Why
that's what,
can't there be a couple in one of those 1-bedroom flats?
Could
If there's a couple, you're talking about 16 people living. Up to 16 people could be there.
it's not for me to speculate. Is
No,
it?
I appreciate it.
I'm only using what they say. There will be 8 single rooms,
Yeah, as I
but we
said,
know the reality.
yeah.
Steve, sorry.
And I say I mean, it strikes me as perfectly obvious that actually what they're producing there is an Airbnb for people to stop over for a night or two, whether it's 1 or 2 people in a bed, or sort of change 6 foot, you know. And hence, or if it's an Airbnb, it's very, very basic. You're just stopping overnight. You know, it's the sort of thing you get your meals somewhere else, just as you might do in a travel lodge or something. What premier you're in, a travel lodge anyway.
Okay.
And I think that's what it is. But all the other points that have been made, I support those, you know, the pressure on infrastructure and everything else.
Okay, so we're going to only comment on the 2-bedroom extension in that sense, but although it does lead us to the other things, doesn't it, Pete?
Am I right that we're resolving to object to it on the grounds of this implements the provision of in total an 8-bedroom HMO in a location which is unsustainable and not in keeping the traditional residential nature of the setting? Proposals represent overdevelopment of the site, reducing external amenity space, removing off-street parking provision, and will result in loss of amenity for existing residents. The waste management area is inadequate for proposal of this scale, indicating at least 8 occupants in total. The provision of high density and low quality cramped form of accommodation is evidenced to be socially unsustainable, as demonstrated by multiple Article directives in place in Crewe. And this provision, this maintained provision is unsustainable due to the high density accommodation and its impact on existing utility infrastructure.
I think we put that very well.
Thank you. Are we okay with that,
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Pete.
I think that's just more money in his bank account, I think. That's
Right.
how that's for.
245239, change of use to hot food outlet for both eat-in and takeaway, including installation of extractor system, and in conjunction with that there's a next one that would be advertising consent for 2 fixed illuminated faces signs. Is this the property that he wanted to build on the roof?
No,
It's not that property?
no, it is a vacant property on Queensway though.
Right, okay.
Do we know what it used to be?
A bargain outlet clothing or something.
There's something in the Facebook
JB
about it, all of
Sports,
it.
all the
Is it?
one there.
What was it?
What was JB?
Bargain outlet clothing thing or something was the last thing I saw him. That was like 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah, they've both moved
Yes,
out.
it-
haven't they?
Yes, it was JB Sports.
JB
wasn't it?
Sports,
Yeah.
Next one. Okay, anyway, what's they want to make it into a smash and trend. Smash on trend.
And a Barney's Detroit style pizza.
Barney's Detroit's pizzas. Who are we to say no? If you investing good on you.
Well, yeah, I have no observations on it. They're using an empty unit
Yeah.
and investing in it.
The fact that they're asking to include installing extraction, there's no issues with any residential space. There aren't any residents
Not
just
yet.
by near
There will be.
There will be above Poundland, I suppose.
The old Woolworths shop.
Yeah.
Because we don't, there's usually, if you want to serve hot food, takeaways, and you have the extraction van with all the chip fat smells and everything, you don't want that going into somebody's
Perhaps we should
window
just
above or
mention that.
something.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll, thank you, because
Yeah.
they are knocking Woolworths upstairs in, not
Yes,
the windows. And
that's quite
what
big.
was Woolworths?
Was what was.
So the extractor
Went
fans
straight
would
through,
have an
didn't it?
impact on
Walked
that.
straight through all that.
4 or 5 flats there.
And it says something
And
here
land.
about
Oh, right.
Virgin Records.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry.
and it says something about converting the old Brands direct unit into Smash-on Trent and Barney's Detroit style pizza, and it refers to it as the former Topshop unit.
There you go.
Top
Top
man.
shop. There you go.
I've seen a photograph with a certain late board pictured in
Okay.
front of that shop.
Very good.
Well, good luck to you. Right, okay. Well, thanks. We'll have a pizza. Next one then, 245163, 69 Sycamore Avenue. Installation of prefabricated extension to house disability wet room and bathroom.
Yeah.
Is that? Is that not impinging on anywhere?
Not that I noticed.
That's with it, isn't it?
It's not, nothing to do with me, it says HO.
Usually semi-detached houses, aren't they, there? Sycamore.
That property
Yeah.
there.
Anybody who had any comment? No?
I didn't know. In that, but they're going to drop on the rear of the property there.
No, not going to.
No,
No.
just an extension really.
Right. You okay with
Only
that?
about the extraction fan.
You okay with that? No comment.
No?
Next one, 0205 37 Salisbury Avenue. Proposed single storey
Oh,
side
yes.
and rear extension.
This is quite a big plot and again no observations. It is quite a big extension, but it's nothing out of the ordinary.
Is that where you used to live?
Salisbury Avenue, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
There's one.
Is it near where you used to live?
Yes,
Opposite,
yeah,
yeah.
opposite.
Opposite, right.
It's one of the detached houses.
So it's yes, the
So
corner
where's
unit
that?
there.
They are. Oh, it's a big plot, isn't it?
Yes.
Ain't got much room there, is it?
Yeah, so it's not impinging on anyone. It's in scale with the plot. And
Yeah, that's a good
Surprised not building another house on there.
That's that is very interesting because is it not? Is it a retrospective one?
No, he's not saying that.
Not saying that. All right then. Okay then.
Yes.
Let's move on.
It's fine. Yeah.
243203 advertising consent, Unit 12, Orion Way. Who's this by?
I can't remember now, I've not looked at it for a while.
Grey tray sign to be mounted to existing signposts. Is it a new business or?
Right,
Is it a car dealer? I'm sure.
I mean, we don't know.
I have looked at it, but
Yeah, let's have a look.
I see a lot when I forget.
Let's have a look at the sign. Oh look. There we are. Sign image. Oh,
Oh, Bentley. Well, we can't turn that down.
goods vehicle car parking and room. Unit 12. Used to have a hire, what used to house the cars they couldn't sell. Down that way, yeah, there's a deal around it. Because that's off by Aldi, isn't it, right? Is that right? Or is that University?
I'm not sure where it is, actually.
This is Orion Way.
Yeah, it is Ryan.
The Ryan Park, isn't it?
I go down the road nearly every day. I
That
can't
new
figure
road.
out.
That new road.
Goes past Aldi.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they've always had a sign
Yeah.
on there, haven't they?
Right there, yeah.
They've had a warehouse. They've
Uni-
had a warehouse there for
University
a while.
Way?
Yeah, university.
Right, so we move on. Item 7, to note responses submitted on the delegation. None.
Correct.
8, to note and consider correspondence. Planning policy and members' items. Anything, Paul?
No, nothing's been in this time.
9, to note correspondence associated with Cheshire East regarding planning enforcement. 303 Nantwich Road, certificate of lawful use as a residential children's home.
Which you've had a response to and is shared in your pack there. We've made a point that this doesn't seem like a consistent approach in that it should be a change of use. C3 to C4, I think off the top of my head. C3, I can't remember exactly which one it was. Cheshire East Planning have given a different perspective. It was at the last meeting and I was asked to chase up a response because actually I sent the request for information just before Christmas, in fact Christmas Eve, and they have responded, and that's in your pack, and they're saying this is a professional perspective that they have on this particular application. They feel it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So if you're minded to disagree with them, then I'm not sure what else we can do apart from say we disagree, but realistically they've taken a view.
To pick a mix approach, I think is now, isn't
It
it?
doesn't seem to indicate the consistency I would expect, but planners and I'm not.
Alright then.
Yeah.
10, to receive an update of progress on the conservation area.
Right.
That's just an agenda item.
No, it's in. I did circulate a report on that. It's not a huge amount of news in the sense of we have gone through the process. You were all briefed just at the end of the summer. You all seem to be positive about the process and where we're up to. Since then, we've been talking to Cheshire East as and when we can, to seek to move it on to providing the appropriate draft strategies to address it. Cheshire East are of a slightly different mind to the recommendations in the findings. Now bear in mind that the findings are based on research and evidence and examples elsewhere that prove an approach, and also based on historic England best practice. That's my absolute position on this. Cheshire East officers perceive it differently. We are now awaiting the start of draft proposals for the final conservation areas and character areas, which will be very similar to what you've seen, although we slightly shrunk in the concept that we are willing to consider pragmatically what Cheshire East is saying. However, if we were to follow Cheshire East's approach, I believe that any conservation area that seems to be indicated by them as acceptable effectively would be ineffective of no value. And it's also not based on the same, they've not provided me with the evidence or the approach that matches a historic England approach or evidence to the contrary of what's been found through this process. Therefore, we will continue down this road unless you direct me otherwise, and therefore return to the position where we may well engage all our members, whichever council they sit on, to seek for them to consider if they want to support the approach and get a robust, sustainable conservation area and character areas for Crewe that will hopefully have a generational impact by protecting the built heritage of Crewe. And in that basis we intend to meet with Cheshire East officers soon with that final proposal. Whichever way they choose to go, I intend to email all Crewe members, whichever council, to make them aware of where we're up to, and seek that if they're minded to represent a position to Cheshire East to show the democratic approach.
Steve?
Thanks for that. As you mentioned in the consideration, there's no consideration is sought, but there's a sort of suggestion to members, which is interesting, that may wish to consider how to progress this work with Cheshire East Council, potentially escalating it with colleague councillors at the planning authority. And I think that would certainly be a useful approach, one that I personally would like to take up as appropriate, and I'm sure others might do. I'm not just talking about colleagues in Crewe, obviously, whom there are half a dozen or so, but I think the escalation would be worthwhile to involve others. So, you know, I'd be interested to speak to the clerk, not after this meeting, but separately on that, for a sort of perhaps a briefing.
Happy to give a briefing, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I perceive very soon this month we'll have our final draft. There's always movement in a draft, don't get me wrong, we're not being obstructive in any way, we're trying to progress something of value. It's my perception, not fact, that the level of work required by a planning authority to instigate this is of concern to them.
Yes.
And I feel that the value of the conservation approach should be based on evidence and fact rather than concern over capacity.
Okay, so when you are in a position,
Yeah, it'll be
Then
this
we
month,
will-
yeah.
take that in a...
As soon as I have the final collated draft of all the documents,
Right.
I will share it with all members. Maybe we'll have another briefing if members want to do that. We can have a physical briefing of it again. It'll definitely come back to the planning committee anyway, at which point we will hopefully be able to engage with Cheshire East officers associated to seek progress. If the progress is not as far as we might hope, then obviously we'll instigate asking members how they want to proceed.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And at that point, I will close the meeting, and thank you for your attendance and input. And the next meeting is the 17th of March.